The, it's white. It's transparent as fuck. I mean, we have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not going to introduce you in the stream, right? I mean, if people click on the video, I mean, it's safe to say that your growth has surpassed any trajectory I've seen. I mean, the fastest growing channels I've seen have not grown in your pace. I was part of one of your streams a few weeks ago,
Okay.
and like you kind of left me a note on Twitter, and I come back and you have like 250,000 more subscribers.
It's been crazy. It's like, I mean, in my mind, emotionally, I think of it more as like a limelight moment, because like, but I always think of that. Like, I feel like I'm like teetering on some sort of tightrope, but then it just keeps going. Like the insanity just like keeps running with all of this. It's just, man, it's just been amazing. It's been so crazy.
Can I tell you something? What you're pulling right now, and for some, I mean, there's some people in the chat. We haven't started the interview yet, so chill. You're just here for the pre-show. We just let you glance of what it would sound like if you were in the room with us. You're pulling like Joe Rogan numbers, bro.
Really?
Yeah, he's pulling like 70, 80,000 live concurrent viewers on stream, and I'm looking at your shit, and it's like 60, 70,000, bro. That's
Yeah,
like Rogan numbers.
I peaked my one moment of glory. I hit 88,000. That was like my peak concurrent viewership. And I don't know, like I want to just like, I love it because I want to spread this story. I want to like explain the psychology of what's going on, because as like, you know, it's so far beyond just like this stock. Like, and we hear that all the time in mainstream media of like, oh, it's fundamentally overvalued. Why are they even talking about it? And like, they're just missing it. Like they're missing what this story is. And oh man, it frustrates me so much. But even that, like, I mean, I've tried to get on Joe Rogan's radar to explain this, and like I'm like a little speedboat on the other side of the ocean, and he's like a mega cargo ship like that. Like you just don't get the attention of someone like that.
The thing about Joe, from what I heard, is that if he for some reason likes you and you get on his radar, he'll find a way to get you on. And then I mean, he made careers happen. He made fucking Jocko Willenick's career. Like everybody who went on that show, like pretty much a lot of people were made from that podcast. I think it's a great story to tell. I just don't think it's in his radar, because not because of specifically you, but I think the whole like short squeeze is so out of the comfort zone of what he usually likes to talk about. I mean, I heard him talk about it, and he's a smart dude. The way he explained it to some guy who was across the studio from him, I was like, yeah, that's a really good explanation. But I mean, he's clearly not interested. I mean, in the big story. It's just too it's almost like I feel I'm on the verge of I'm almost like too old for this shit. I'm like the elder statesman, bro. I'm 40 years old and I feel like so old. Like the average age group of people who are in this. I mean, there's few older people. For the most part, it's people like in your age group rather than mine. But
I don't want to. I mean, I just watched a reverse repo video. So for those of you learning, like, especially in this AMC GME world, a little bit has been coming on our radar about reverse repos. If you want to learn more, go check that video out. I just watched it myself. I mean, even me, I learned, I don't want you to quit, man. You're giving out some good education.
So I have to ask you a question, Matt. Now that it's basically you're for good or for bad, and you'll have to find a way out of this later, you have kind of become the man. Like when people think AMC, they think about you, they think about Trey, and you have become kind of the, every good cult brand needs a face, right? So you guys have become the faces of the movement. And obviously that comes with a lot of benefits, and also I think a lot of, I mean, you'll have to fight out of this to build like yourself later on down the road when this thing actually blows over. But I mean, how did you find this? Because you were talking about this when this shit was like $2.50, $3. I remember way back when you were digging into this. Nobody was talking about AMC. Nobody. How did you find this?
Yeah, so mine, I mean, for the people, like, I guess tuning in terms of like standalone AMC videos, I would actually say Trey was kind of the first one, because mine were AMC and GME. Like I was like always, and even today I put them together because I think they're gonna play out together. So the way I found
you can see they're correlated completely.
Oh yeah, so like it came on my radar. So where basically, I mean, let me bring you back just a little bit. So I went to college, I studied computer science, and then with like, I was working in New York, and New York like was one of the first cities to go completely belly up in 2020. So with that, I just had a lot of free time. I made the YouTube channel, but also my consumption of Wall Street bets went through the roof. Like I always enjoyed it. Like in college, like I don't know, like I found it and I was like reading it and it was cool just to see the YOLO bets. It was fun. Like you just like, why not read about these crazy, crazy stories? But anyway, in 2020, I was on it every single day, reading it like avidly. And that's when Roaring Kitty, like, I mean, DFV, what he was on Wall Street Bets, that's where he came onto my radar. And I just like seeing his updates. I found him in about August, September. And that was right from the point when he was posting monthly to kind of weekly, every week, every day. And then by December of 2020, it was just like, what's going on? We need to know what like Roaring Kitty is possibly doing. So I was just one of those guys. Like, I loved the story. I loved what was happening. And for me, I never felt the most comfortable on camera. It's funny that I even started YouTube, just computer science, definitely introvert. I wasn't good. I wasn't comfortable. I needed to work on my public speaking. So I started live streaming. I started live streaming. My first one ever was December 31st of 2020, like a New Year's thing. And it was for me, it was just to rip it like this. Like I didn't want to sound scripted. And that was the biggest issue in my earliest videos. So I tried to live stream once a week, every Sunday, just like a market wrap up thing. So at the end of January, because I was following Roaring Kitty, I had some GME myself. It started to like really move and I was just too excited. Like I couldn't sit down to script a video, to write it or anything. And it was Wednesday, January 27th that I was like, I'll just live stream. Like it was a Wednesday and I was like, whatever. Apple had its earnings announcement. Tesla had its. And this is like one of those moments like where your lucky stars align. So what had happened was Tim Cook did his earnings. There was downtime, and then Elon was coming out with Teslas. And in between that time, Reddit took Wall Street Bets down. And I went from like 100 viewers. I was like, oh, I'll switch the title. Let's talk about this because we had like an hour to kill. And for me, I went to 1,000 viewers and I was like, this is crazy. I have figured out YouTube. And then the next day, GameStop was still moving. Like the next day, I think it hit like 300, 400. So I was like just streaming that. And like, so I saw huge movement in it. And then all of a sudden, everyone was talking about the highly shorted stocks, AMC, BB, NOK, like all of those, NAKD. And like, I was just getting a position in all of them, running it just because like at that point, some of the newer people who was catching the story, GME was already very, very expensive. So for people to buy like, I don't know, 10 shares of one of like AMC or one of GME, a lot of people started pouring into AMC. But what was interesting is in early February, when it came down with Robinhood and all that good stuff, what I noticed was Reddit, YouTube, Discord, Twitter, all of it. The AMC community slowly but surely, like it just didn't disappear. And GameStop's was there, but I would say it was a bit more constant and now it's growing again, even if you just look at like the Google trend metrics. But AMC's, man, it was always like slowly grinding higher. And in the past 2 to 3 weeks, it hit some form of critical mass across all social media. And like, that's why we're talking now is just like, it just took the world by storm. And so there's people who've been in this fight from January, February. So it's like, it does feel good to be like where we are now. But like, I guess for anyone listening, understand like, we're closer to the end of this than we are the start, but like the fight is still raging on in the markets.
I think the reason people tend to come in and stay on your streams for hours and hours, and I don't know how you stay on your streams hours and hours. um, I think the reason is because you provide a very pragmatic, realistic, non-emotional view of what's going on. That's the part I enjoy the most. Whenever things get a little bit hectic, either good or bad, I always swing by your channel. Okay, let me see what the hell is going on. Let me hear like an unbiased, like very kind of. It's almost like you're the responsible grown up in that group of 60,000 people. Okay, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah, I definitely more of that calm, cool, collected of like, all right, because like it is crazy money. Like for a lot of people, like I guess it's one of those things that sometimes I'm on camera sitting there, but like if I had I want to get like a heart monitor on the bottom of my screen because even when I see these movements, I'm just like what's going on?
Yeah. So do you feel? I remember I was in the stream. I'm in your streams a lot. And a few days ago, I remember that when it was dipping, people were starting to get really antsy and throwing shade at you and basically calling you out So obviously that happens to me as well, and I can't go every single comment and just say, hey, listen, like I do value investing long term mostly, so I can
Mhm.
go every single comment and say, well, this is what mid short term looks like. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, I noticed what you did in your community. Instead of engaging with them, you just kind of went into members chat, and then it's like a circuit breaker. I like that. I was like, okay, this is the circuit breaker of fun. And then you came
Yeah.
back to general chat. Do you feel like when this happens, um, as if uh, people are misunderstanding and you kind of, okay, so they're misguided, or do you kind of get upset for people being so short-sighted? Because I gotta be honest with you, I have mixed feelings about these comments, because I'm like, why are you watching my channel if you don't have
Mm.
patience?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that like I don't like to get like down on myself because like I actively signed up for this. You get the highs with the lows. So like, and I get why it's going. It's one of those things that like it's the yin and yang of the situation of like when I'm live streaming all day and when we're ripping from 30 all the way up to 70, everyone's emotions are high. We're all on cloud nine. And like that's the massive benefit. And then this week, when you had 3 red days in a row, like, well, like you get that low. I think it's just it's a human thing, especially because like it's not one of those things where you're talking about like a middleman asset. Like people are literally just seeing their net worth going up and down. Like I get the emotions of it, and with the members chat thing, I really, really try to avoid it. Like the way I run mine is this community. I really want people to make money. Like that's like I want to send the message, like I want to help just spread a little bit of education and entertainment. And I understand and I respect that some people are not in the financial position to even be able to afford a membership. So I don't want them to feel like they're on the out crowd for that. So I use it as a last resort when I see like a lot. I would almost argue it's a lot of bot comments because like my mods will tell me it's the exact same message, but from like 20 different accounts. And they're just spamming it over and over. And like, it'll be just messages of like, sell, it's crashing. And it's just like, that's not what I'm here to do. And I think they're like unduly spreading fear. And like it maybe to someone who just joined the community, it's like, well, I see all these people saying it's about to crash. I might sell. And they might not even understand that it is fake accounts. And then I think some of these accounts are also real. And I would assume it's more of people who just joined it and maybe bought it at a higher value. Cause like most of my viewers right now are up a considerable amount of money. Like I ran a little test in my Discord and we added up just everyone's total P&L. Like the Discord alone that people have been tracking this as a group, we're up millions of dollars right now. It's incredible. But with that being said, I respect that there's some people who just got in that might be under on a position. And I totally understand and I have empathy for like that. But that's also the market. Like I try to make everyone understand if you're listening right now, nothing is ever guaranteed. You just can't do that in the stock market. I'm sure Tom, you'd agree with that there's no
Yep.
such thing as 100% or 0% chance. Like it's just one of the most complex multivariate equations out there that's dynamic, like literally per microsecond with high frequency traders. The situation is always changing. So we're here trying to spread the information and give us some odds of like, okay, here's the current setup. But at the end of the day, it's your losses, it's your gains. I'm not a financial like planner, advisor, or any of that good stuff. We're just in this together. Like that's like at the most basic level, we're all like, if I could tell the future, I would love to tell you folks. Like I wish I had that power, but unfortunately I don't.
I wish I had that sports book that Marty McFly had and Back to the Future.
Yeah.
That thing would be a game changer for me.
I like sometimes I daydream of like, even if I just knew at the start of January, like if a little bird just told me like
Yeah.
GameStop AMC about to like run, I would have mortgaged everything possible. The amount I would have shaken like every couch out there. I would have gotten every single dime and just gone in and become like a multi millionaire. I'm like sitting on a beach, probably like what Roaring Kitty's doing, just like enjoying it.
Do you think that well, I feel like there's almost kind of a dichotomy between the GameStop community and the AMC community. It's almost they exist and they respect each other, but it's almost like they're working separately, which kind of feels weird to me, because for me, there's not a lot of difference. I mean, it's the interests are aligned identically the same, and but I haven't seen any cooperation between these two. And it seems to me the reason, and tell me if that's what you're seeing as well, is that we're seeing right now with the GameStop community what they're going through with Super Stonk and their YouTube channel and the quality of content that they're bringing, the quality of people that are basically they're changing the discourse on mainstream media. They're really making an impact as far as the narrative. So they've matured through this phase of early hysteria, early euphoria, and they've matured into this political movement. While the AMC movement is still in the early stages, you have a lot of this kind of young love, you know what I mean? A lot of emotions. So I think that's the reason they can't really vibe, because it's in different stages in the movement. But for me, I think that there's a lot of that makes a lot of sense to bring this thing somehow together, because it's the same people on both sides of these. I'd love to see more cooperation, more collaboration, but it's I don't see that happening right now. I see complete separation.
I think I mean, I agree with you. Like, if there was a Venn diagram, there's like a certain percentage of an overlap, but obviously each side kind of has their own, let's call them purists. And I mean, I get it, but I don't know if I agree with it, because like you, I think their success to a certain degree is dependent on the other. I don't expect a reality where one goes completely to the moon and the other doesn't. Like, whether you like it or not, they are maybe not attached at the hip, but like they're pretty close to it. So like I view it as, I mean, I'm in both. I have shares in both. I have options on both. Like I enjoy both, and like, I mean, I've been studying both, but I do agree with you that there's like, I don't know, like I said, I guess the purist thing. And I think maybe it's a form of like jealousy or selfishness of like, they view it of like, okay, if someone out there is all in on AMC or all in GME, well, they want other people to be like that because they know it then benefits their own initial position. Like, they don't think that the money should go anywhere else. And even in like this last week, we saw certain runners, like Clove was one, and people got really mad about that. Like, so
I
first of all,
heard people got mad at you for saying that's not a distraction. Just let him have some make some money. Why not?
Yeah, like the way I thought of it is like, we win this game. There is holding is good. Holding is obviously way better than selling, obviously. But also, the way a stock moves is by new buying. So whether it's an existing person in the ape nation or it's a new ape, you need new money. The amount of people like, who, I get it, of like, if all of a sudden, if we see all these other like high runners, like I could see how that distracts. But let's just take Clove as like one example. The amount of people who are like, I just made 20K off of Clove. I've just made 50K off of Clove. I just made 100K off of Clove. Guess where it's all going? Right into AMC. So it's like that fine line of like how we are actually defining a distraction. If all of a sudden people are pulling money out of AMC, money out of GME to put it in something else, all right, I think that's more of a viable argument. But all of a sudden, if someone has some extra capital, they just 10x it on Clove and then take some of that money and put it into AMC. Well, that's good for us. You should want that, because it's new buying pressure and it pushes the stock up. So it's more of, I guess, like a nuanced argument of like, when does it actually cross the line of being a distraction? Do I think the line exists? 100%. But do I think it exists in like a quick 1 hour, 2 hour day trade where then they put the money into like these like kind of OG high shorted stocks to begin with? I don't really like, that's a net benefit. I like it because it benefits my position and it benefits your position if you're in AMC or GME.
So obviously you've become a household name.
Just so
at this
weird.
point, I'm seeing you on Fox Business and shit. I mean, when the first GameStop run up happened, I mean, I don't think you even had a YouTube channel, which was just like what, months ago. It seems like it was a different lifetime. So when the first GameStop run happened, and before your fame, which is actually well deserved, so I had a guy which I interviewed on the show. His name is Will, and he was up $1.5 million on GameStop.
Wow.
with a
Wow.
with a freaking margin account. He's 17-year-old broke kid, really smart, but just margin all in up one. He wouldn't sell. Like, I
Wow.
got him on Benzinga. Jason was telling him sell at least half. He's like, no, I'm not selling that. So the dude is still holding. So I see a lot of this religious belief. I mean, he bought a car. I convinced him to get a car, and at least he got a Mercedes. Thank God, at least something came out of it. But I mean, there's almost this religious belief around it. So I noticed that you're also, if I read between the lines, what scares me the most is I don't want us to become an echo chamber where you're not allowed. When I say in my videos, hey, dudes, just so you know, and I hope that doesn't happen, but this thing can go to zero like any other stock, especially if it's a volatile stock. And people, oh, you're spreading FUD. You should never say that. It can never literally go to. I said, no, that's not how the stock market works. I mean, Enron used to be the biggest company in the world. They went to zero. Arthur Anderson used to be the biggest accounting firm in the world. They went to zero. WorldCom, there's plenty of examples. Companies go up and down like crazy. This is the stock market. This is like the craziest business to be in, especially if you're in a volatile stock. So I always say it like it is. I said, listen, I think it looks good. I hope you all fucking kill it. Yeah. However, you got to be careful. You can't say, well, this is guaranteed, because as you mentioned. So how do you kind of find a way? Because if you just come up to somebody, when you have a debate and you're trying to convince somebody of something, and if you don't touch that emotional point correctly, you're going to get a pushback.
Yeah.
So how do you find on your channel the way kind of to, should I say, how to people to play responsibly? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess with it, I've thought a lot about that. So when you're starting on any form of social media, and let's just use YouTube as an example, that's the goal. You want everyone to like you. You want everyone to subscribe. You just want always a positive response. And through kind of actually GameStop a little bit, and then when things were a bit more calm and now picking up again, I realized that I could do that, and I could be that echo chamber that makes everyone feel warm and fuzzy on the inside of okay, this is great. Like Matt just said, what I spent my money on, it's a good idea because of X, Y, and Z. I feel better about it. And that's good in the short term, but I think very, very detrimental in the long term. I don't know how a brand of any brand would ever succeed if you're just not being transparent across the board all the time. One of the best ways to not have to remember your own lies to check is by just always consistently telling the truth. And that's actually the most hate I've gotten. I've gotten some hate on the opposite side of some mainstream media articles written about me of blah, 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 just the typical stuff you could expect. But have I actually gotten more hate from this community when I don't arbitrarily conform to confirmation bias? I believe that the FUD that whoever, let's just call them mainstream media, and confirmation bias, they're on the opposite ends, but I think that they're both detrimental. I think the way to win something of this complexity is if we're all on the exact same page of reality. And with it, maybe it's I'm not the best bedside manner just because my background in computer science. I just live in the world of black and white and data, and this is what it is. And I, as a creator, sometimes miss on that emotional undertone. That's very, very important. I 100%, and I'm trying to get better at that. But at the end of the day, I'm not just going to sit there and say something that I just know is verifiably inaccurate. Just for a little bit of an example, people have kind of once again stumbled onto the FINRA SEC website, and then they're just seeing that the Citadel Securities, they're looking at the trading volume, which is a retail wholesaler. They're confusing with Citadel, the hedge fund, and then they think Citadel Securities,
at the market maker.
Yeah. So they're looking at that and they're oh, look at all these short positions when it's literally just a volume, and that's creeping up again. And that happened before, I don't know, in February, March. And I made that video too of hey, actually, this isn't as good as you get. It's not talking about naked shorts. It's not talking about shorts. It's literally talking about volume. And they're oh, you're not an ape. I'm no, I'm the guy trying to tell you the truth here. So it's one of those things that it's easy once in a while to say what you need to for that short term, I guess, likeness. But in the long term, I just don't see how it plays out. So sometimes I take the little gut punches when I say something that's just fact and people don't like it. But at the end of the day, I think that makes, in terms of this community, more of a true ape, because I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not just going to sit there, because I understand there's a lot of people, there's a small segment who wants to be hype, hoorah 100% of the time. But I think a larger portion of the audience is hey, I seriously have this student debt. I seriously have this medical debt. I seriously have these bills I have to pay. I need the truth to possibly be successful in this situation. So for me and my brand moving forward, if people don't like the 100%, just telling you what you want to hear, that's okay, because I don't expect them to grow with my brand. I think people that want to grow with my brand, they're going to grow with me because they know to the best of my ability, I'm at least explaining the truth. Recently, I made a video where I stated something incorrectly. I get that. The first thing I did on the very next stream was I said this wrong. It wasn't as good as it seems. You have to just take your medicine sometimes. That's life. You're not going to be right all the time.
I noticed that in your channel, when you talk about technical trading, which is something, by the way, shout out to the 3,000 people in the stream right now. we're nearing math numbers. So for me, usually that's between 2,000 and 4,000 on the good streams. So you're pulling good views. So I noticed again when you explain technical trading, which is not my expertise at all.
Okay.
I don't do technical trading. I don't understand it, but I did like when you say it, and I heard you say it multiple times. Is that every technical trading analysis can be interpreted both ways, and literally there's a lot of intuition involved in interpreting these movements because there's just a 50-50 split of what can happen. So for every example that this actually leads to this, there's another example. So basically you're going against the grain, almost as if you're the magician who's calling out the magicians, basically saying, well, technical trading is just an intuition-based game where you can use these technicals, but you have to have gut feeling. Otherwise, you're going to suck at it. And I've never heard a technical trader talk like this. I think I mentioned this in one of your streams, which is something that was really, I think people vibe with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess what's that old adage of like, if you give someone a fish, cool, they ate for it a day. But like, I'm here to try to teach like what I actually know so they could do it in the future without me. And all of it at the most basic level, it's all some sort of statistical chance of risk and reward. That's all it is. Like 100%. So like, if you're sitting down at a casino and you're playing blackjack and you're dealt like 2 kings, that's awesome. You're going to do really, really well, but you're not going to win every time. So you're always looking for those opportunities when the risk reward favors you, and you don't go all in because sometimes you don't win on those. But like if you always continually bet on like superior setups, well, that's I guess a methodology for long-term success, and that's all it is.
Somebody says Tom is rambling. that's my brand. I'm not. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tom is rambling, and then I just go on endless rants. So it's just brand development.
Somebody says that you need a lighter background. I kind of like the black one. It gives a more dramatic vibe.
I think it's just calmer, especially for me of like, I'm sitting in this room with that, like it was so bright. So like I've switched my setup 180 where I had that really bright back wall. And now I want to somehow incorporate this. Like I have this moon that I could change like its colors.
Oh, I like it. A moon.
So yeah, so it like moves, but it's not showing up. I don't know. But what I have coming for everyone, I think I've said this, I'm just going to get a neon sign that says Moon Gang in the back to give it a bit more color. But also you have to remember when I'm live streaming, this box is going to be super small. Like it's just my face. Yeah. Like the important things to the chart and whatever's on the page.
Yeah, you never go full out. I've never seen you go like just you on the screen. It's just always the chart. And so Winnie Singh with the super chat, biggest confusion, not spreading FUD. Many people are saying most ITM calls expiring 18th June have already been hedged, hence no gamma squeeze. Well, that's your realm of the. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, so Winnie and I was actually thinking about making a video this evening specifically explaining a short squeeze, gamma squeeze, and FOMO buying, but just like a quick rundown for you. Most in the money, as in the stock is trading above those strike prices, most likely they're most likely all going to already be hedged for. So when people are talking about a gamma squeeze, it's when the stock trends upward and more of the out of the money go in the money that like hasn't previously been seen. And then the market makers to hedge those buy more shares. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It pushes it up even higher, which means that more out of the money go to in the money. So then they buy more. And it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy basically. But in the money, most likely hedge for. We're talking about out of the money ones that we want to get hedged for when the stock trends upward. So I hope that helps, Winnie.
Okay, now we have we're going for the Matt super chat pace now. Wait, there's more. I'm not used to it. Usually my audience knows not to super chat since I don't read comments, but since you're here, we're going to do it.
All right.
It's an opportunity for them to ask you questions. Matt, what would be a good end of day price point? Oh, I hate these questions. For this coming Friday, the 18th, looking for a general idea where you want the pressure to on short positions and keep momentum on our side. Good luck with that one, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know I'm never calling out any price, but like just logically, obviously, higher the better. I think things get they're going to get interesting if AMC successfully gets above and holds 60. But when we break out above that 70, 75 region, like right now, the all-time high is 72 and then 77 if you count extended hours trading. But at that point, I think you're just going to see a massive amount of FOMO buying, which then could lead to more of a gamma squeeze. We have a lot of options expiring around 145. So if we get a quick spike up to like 120, 130, they're going to start getting hedged for, and that's a lot of buying. And then, of course, right now, I think the last time I checked, just for the legitimate shorts that we know, not counting the illegitimate ones, that's still about like 70 million short. That could be like a squeeze again. So I guess the price levels where I believe things become extraordinarily interesting kind of happens at 60, but I mean the pedal to the metal around 70, 75. And also, so just so you know, June 18th is actually quadruple witching. That's just a fancy way to say that there's a bunch of futures contracts and options all expiring on June 18th. Once again, not bullish, not bearish, just high volatility. So because of that, like expect volatility kind of all this week, especially going into June 18th, but not bullish, not bearish, just big ranges are to be expected.
I was muted. I always mute myself when I let you answer these.
Okay.
I'm breathing. I'm breathing heavily. I'm a heavy breather. I hate that shit. Closing on 4,000 viewers. Let's go. We got some.
Let's do it.
You're bringing the clout. Kenneth Mraz, Jason's brother. I have an important question about how you and Matt feel about deep out of the money calls and puts on AMC, but it's long. How can I ask it in chat? I don't understand the question. I don't do options at all. That's you again.
I think, well, he's saying that the question he asks, I think it requires too many characters for a super chat, like the way it's capped on Twitter.
Oh, can you type in the comment and I'll try to fish it from the crowd?
I believe, yeah, at least that's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, let's put in the question and I'll find it. And if once you put it, I'm gonna find it. Don't worry about it. I'll keep an eye on from now on for your question. Okay, so I'm missing another super chat. This is getting when these fast super chats come in. I know now what you're struggling with. People get annoyed if you miss one, rightfully so. I mean, it's their money. Ryan Patrick is asking, "Hey gents, what are both of your thoughts on apes being divided right now with? How do you say that?
Fake, basically, fake leaders.
I don't know. I'm too Russian for this word. Leading people away from plays other than aim. Well, we spoke about this with Clove and the disparity between GameStop calling AMC out as being a distraction, vice versa. I think I have a clear position where we literally spoke about this a minute ago. For me, all the interests are aligned. It doesn't matter where the pressure is coming from. All the highly shorted stocks can apply the same amount of pressure on the same amount of institutionals. I'm sure with the new short plays, like Clove, for example, you had a lot of hedges on both sides of the game. They always jump in when it gets interesting and lucrative. They always jump in. But at least for GameStop and GME, I mean, I don't view them as mutually exclusive. But if you have, I think you have the same opinion, right, Matt?
Yeah. So, well, Ryan Patrick, he's also a frequenter of my live stream. So I think I have a little bit more insight into where this question is coming from. He's referring to some of these people who have been, like, I guess, chasing the AMC wave to try to grow their own brand. And now some of them I've even seen are saying to get out of AMC and GME to go on to the next thing. So right there, like, I've always had suspicions that some of these new people, like, coming out of the woodwork are fake for this community. And now they're just proving it. Like, there's people for, like, I don't know. I don't understand why have developed some sort of respect as if they are like true DD or whatever. But, like, I don't get it. Like, I go through painstaking research to provide it. It's like, hey, this is where I'm getting this opinion from. I'll link it below. Check it out yourself. And then there's other people, like, without, like, starting YouTube or drama, it's just like They just sit there and talk, no due diligence ever. Like, and there's a group of them that do it. I mean, there's one guy who will say something, no facts, he'll just say like, oh, we're doing this. And then at the end of the video, he's pitching his own hedge fund. I'm like, do you even get the ethos of this movement at all? Like, you're pitching your own hedge fund? Like, it blows my mind. But for everyone listening out there, like, if you're new to it, just look at the creators and see how long they've been talking about AMC. Find out the people who've been in this from January and February and have still been in it, not someone who like had just started posting videos within the past month. Like, do a little bit of DD on who you're getting your DD from.
It's a lot of DD. Okay, so let's keep it up. Mitch is definitely one of your subscribers. I can
Moon gang.
That's definitely one of yours. You can take this one.
When getting calls out of the money, is the profit percentage more than getting a call option closer to the money? Yes, but also your risk goes up. The farther out of the money you go, you just jack your risk reward up. So your risk is higher because like, obviously, that means that the stock has to have a bigger percentage growth. But if you are right, you're going to be rewarded accordingly. So, for example, this upcoming week, let's say that there's some people who get out of the money calls at 55 for June 18th, and then other people who get 145s. Let's say in some scenario that AMC goes way beyond that, your percentage gains on the 145s will be greater than the 55s just because you took a larger risk.
I'm just Kenneth from earlier. I can't find your comment since it's going super fast. You can send me a DM on social media, and I promise to get back to you personally. I don't want you to waste your super chat. I always answer my DMs, not like Matt. He's Hollywood. Okay,
I try.
I'm kidding. Obviously, that's otherwise you wouldn't have been here. Happy birthday, Matt. Not asking for financial advice, but how do I put call options on the amount of duck shirts you will have after the squeeze?
I'm working on setting up my own market for that, and we're also going to be setting up a market for tulips, so we can all start reinvesting in that. But even that was the joke. Matt Lors, someone who called me out on a Yahoo Finance article, they didn't even get my name right. They're like, I think his name's Matt Lors, and I was like, dude, come on! Like, if you're gonna shit talk me, like, do it right.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I can see all of your subscribers are in the chat right now by the amount of super chats. Cost of hedges to cover shorts and why they don't cover billions.
Right now. Yeah. Billions. I mean, right now, roughly the average age of shares loaned out, which you have to do to take a legal short position, is pushing 60 days. And if you do if you just look back on the chart, that means roughly they got a short position around the $10 mark. So by that percentage, they're down 400% right now. Roughly. Very, very crude math, but about.
You want to explain Moonga? It's another one of yours.
Martin Apes Anthem. I'll have to check it out. It sounds like he just made some sort of Moon Gang AMC Apes Anthem. We'll check that out. That'll be awesome.
Oh, I found Kenneth's comment actually.
Okay,
here we go.
Sweet.
Okay, so Kenneth is asking, Tom Nash, a lot of times big corporate holdings will buy severely out of the money options to mitigate profit taxes and pension payouts. They never intended for these contracts to hit the strike. So you mean like a hedging mechanism?
It sounds like a hedging mechanism, but also like for taxes, though, to mitigate profits.
I mean,
I feel like that's out of my wheelhouse.
I'm not familiar with anybody trying to cause a capital loss, because capital loss essentially means you're losing money. If people carry forward capital losses, but I've never heard of people intentionally causing capital losses to offset profits. I mean, because you're losing more money. I mean,
exactly.
So maybe I'm misunderstanding, but hey, just shoot me a DM. Let's have a chat. I'm always open. I'm not Hollywood like Matt. When will you talk to Iron Sheik, baby? That's you.
Want to bring him on so bad. Also with Rampage Jackson, I know both of those guys are like in this world, like they're actively involved with AMC. I think it'd be so cool if I could get them on for like a quick just chat to get us all fired up. Like,
I think it's going to be the perfect convention of the apes.
Yeah,
you can call the podcast Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. I've just been
Yeah.
jokingly to just poke fun at it. I like intro all my stuff now. Like, this is Dumb Money with your host Matt Kohrs. Like,
I have so many questions to ask you, but people keep super chatting, so we'll do the questions. We'll respect their donations.
gotcha.
I have $20 June calls. Oh, another options questions which I can't answer since I don't know nothing about options.
Would it be smart to roll into a $30 call the way I can pay less? I know it's not financial advice, your opinion. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. First of all, I can't give you financial advice, but if I were in your shoes, if you roll into the 30s, it's just less risk reward. So it's like, what I don't know your financial background, your risk tolerance, your personality to handle like the crazy swings, but just know that if you go into the 30s, you're going to be lessening your risk to reward. So if that's something you're interested in, like that could be a good play. But if you're a little bit more like me and you just like every single time you're up at bat and you're swinging for the fences, I mean, I like a bit more risk, but that's also like, I guess, a function of where I'm at in my life.
You have a shout out from JBW, thanking you for giving him exactly the answer he was looking for the price point.
Mm.
Though I hate those questions are so hard. I mean, I don't hate when I say hate, I mean hate in the sense they're really impossible to answer. It's like guessing a price point. It's one thing to guess a target price when you're talking about long-term investing. The other to guess a price point in short and medium term, it's essentially as tough as trying to guess when you had too much to drink yourself. It's impossible to know.
I
You
like
only
that
know
analogy.
you always know after the fact. You can never know in real time that you're having too much drinks. It's
That
impossible.
is an absolutely perfect analogy.
Yeah, that's so tough. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with the super chats. Give me a second. I don't have usually so many super chats here. I mean, oh, that's tough. I may have missed a few. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm trying to keep up as much as I can. Macron After Party. I love that name. I have a fear of setting up my final trades if / when big squeeze takes place. Neon people need help for maximizing profit, i.e. stop loss. That's a very general question. I mean,
the concept of maximizing profits, just so you understand, there's a lot of luck into it. You're basically asking, how can you top tick it? And if someone consistently knew how to top tick a trade, they would be the world's richest person, like overnight. The way I would think about it is look to take a majority of the trade. Whenever I get into a trade, if it's a trend following trade, I'm looking to take 60, 70, 80% of the move, and I count that as a win. But this game of like, buying it at the exact low price and selling it at the exact high price, that's luck. Like there's no trader out there who does that time and time again. Take a majority of the move. So basically, you ride it as high as you can. When you think that the trend's over, when you think that the shorts have covered, okay, that's your exit scenario then. But don't try to top tick. Like, we'll try to, but just understand that like it's borderline impossible to do that accurately.
My finance professor when I was doing my MBA was a dude that used to work for Lehman Brothers. He was a fucking smart dude, and he explained to me it's called the drunk man theory. Have you heard about it?
No, but I like the sound of it.
So he's saying that predicting short-term moves in the stock market, it's like predicting literally with somebody wobbling down the street like ultra drunk, trying to write an algorithm that's going to predict where each step is going to fall. He says it's impossible. It's just too random.
Yeah, there's just like it comes back to the infinite amount of variables per nanosecond. Yeah,
and crowd psychology and all this like aliens. Here you go. Ask Matt after the squeeze is finally going to. Come on. Okay, let's go. People love you. No Sims 24/7. Munga got my NASA jacket for the day captain.
It's for life.
I love these comments. They're so funny. These people are so creative. What day of the week do market makers hedge typically heading into Friday? Basically, what's the do they not hedge every single day, man? I mean,
yeah, it's a gradient. They don't do it by it's a function of volatility and the stock price of the day. So it's not a day of the week. As the stock is trending upward for more of these calls going from out of the money to in the money, it's a gradient. It's not a binary system of like we hedge now or we don't. It's like a sliding scale. Like, okay, we're closer, so we'll hedge a bit more, and then as it goes away, they kind of unhedge. It's just like it's almost like your gas gauge or something. Like it's just kind of up, kind of down. It's not a binary event of yes or no.
And by the way, what's going on right now? If you wanted proof that this is not over, not even close, it's only picking up. Look at the views people are getting on AMC content. Look at what's going on in this stream. I mean, as YouTubers, we feel like what's hot, what's trending. I mean, AMC has never been hotter than it is right
Mm-hmm.
now. It's
Yeah.
not losing any traction, at least as far as relevance. Everybody's still talking about it even more. I mean, it's just
Mm-hmm.
picking up pace from what I'm feeling, at least from a relevance point of view.
Yeah. I mean, we could
So,
even see it quantitatively in just the Google search, Google
yeah.
Trends. AMC is just going higher and higher. So that's obviously good for us on the Ape Nation.
Yep. El Dispulo del Éxito. Whoa. That's a cool. If I was a Mexican, that would be my name. Worldwide apes, love you, Matt. Great work, supply and demand, baby. Apes on the float, dumb money in action. Warm regards, disciple of wealth.
I love it. Shout out. I love the name.
And Carlos Santos, what does Matt think about lose? Let's not call anybody personally, but I would just say that let's talk about outlandish claims about share price. I mean, would you not say, Matt, that in general you don't need this thing to go to $5,000 per share to make a shit ton of money? You don't need it to go even to 2,000.
Yeah. I
Even
mean,
if it go,
people have already made millions when it went to 70.
yeah,
Like, and it just goes higher and higher. And the higher, the better. But this game of like an individual price, I mean, to talk about that, I've never heard of this 1900 thing, but like, I think throwing out dates and price targets is just dangerous because like you either have people it hits and then you end it, or like you then miss on expectations. So just in general, I think it's in poor taste to do dates or price targets. Like let's play it day to day, and as long as the trends in our favor, as long as the fundamentals are in our favor, and as long as there's still shorts, well, we're still in the play. It's that simple. Are there still shorts? Is the stock still trending up? Yes, yes. All right, sweet. We're still in it. Because even right there, like, what if someone puts out a price and it was just going to completely blow by it, but now you have all these people selling at that price? You just stop the squeeze then. So like, I don't like this game of price targets, and like a little bit more in depth of that of you're not going to trade differently on a dark pool. I mean, people are referencing this picture that was used. I mean, I could go into any web page right now, edit the CSS and change the price. It's not that hard. There's
yeah,
no reason for someone to have sold on a dark pool at price whatever, price X. That means someone bought it at price X. Why would you buy it at such a high price now when you could go to the quote unquote normal market and buy it for $50? It just doesn't make sense. It's misinformation. And I think it's kind of like confusing a lot of the community. Let's just stick to the basics: the short interest, the chart, the fundamentals. We don't really have to overcomplicate it much more than that.
this is a phenomenal question by Zach. Very important question. I mean, I think what he's asking here is quite has not been asked before, at least on my streams, and it's very important. I mean, if you don't have to repay the stock if it's a naked short, why is this a problem for the hedge funds?
Yeah, so this is a great question, Zach. I appreciate it. So this is more of like, now we're kind of into the weeds of like the stock market plumbing. Remember that it could be kind of assumed that the hedge funds might not even know it. Naked shorts are actually prompted by the prime brokers. So the hedge fund calls up their broker the way we use whatever Webull, Robinhood, E-Trade, any of those guys. They took the position. They might think it's just a legitimate position. The issue arises when the prime broker does not locate the shares. So right there, and then it comes into the issue of the clearing corp, the DTCC, and then they're going to be like, hang on, you took this short position and you never found it. So on them, like the SEC forces them to buy it. And that's kind of what Wes Christian was talking about with the obligation warehouse of like, okay, you have to buy those shares off the market because you messed up. But then it gets even more nefarious because they might not locate it. And then they might be like, oh, okay. And then they mark it as a long position instead of a short. And those are the things that we're just like, we want transparency across the board. The dark pools, retail wholesalers, brokers, give us the information. Like, why is it behind like a veil of secrecy? We want to look into those things. And like, I think that's what, like, I mean, part of my job is like, that's what I'm fighting for. But the naked short thing, the accountability, the onus comes to the prime brokers who allowed the position to be taken when they should have never taken it.
Yeah, Wes was talking about the failure to deliver warehouse. Did you hear about this thing?
Yeah. Which is just like, it's just like ridiculous. The
this
failure
goes against the whole purpose of
yeah. And even that, like, we have the way that data works is this upcoming week, we'll get an idea of the failure to delivers for the second half of May. It's that delayed. Like at best, you're already 2 weeks behind. So when we got that spike from $4 to $20, we saw about 27 million failure to delivers. And just so you know, don't forget, all naked shorts are failure to delivers, but not all failure to delivers are naked shorts. Failure to delivers is the umbrella term, and a naked short is a type of one. So it's not perfect, but it's a really good indication of what's going on. So anyway, we saw that spike back in late January, and I bet we're about to see another spike. And then at the end of June, when we get the data for the first part of June, I bet there's going to even be more failure to delivers. It's going to be a huge spike.
I miss so much super chats. I can't scroll up right now. Okay, so Zach, phenomenal question. Thank you so much. This is like a video that should be made, I think. Maybe we post this clip. Good explanation, Matt. Tom Nash is definitely invited to the Applebee's meetup. Let's go. It sounds interesting.
Love it.
Is there such a thing as naked call? And if so, what would I mean? What the
Yeah, so there is such thing as a naked call, but it has nothing to do with naked shorting. So it's the opposite of a covered call. If you own 100 shares of any stock, you can sell a call against it. If you have a certain level of options trading, like if you're approved for it, you can sell calls without owning the underlying asset. So that would be a naked call position. And basically, if the stock goes above it and it expires in the money, you're on the hook for a lot of money. So that's why like you have to have most brokerages don't even allow it because it's like super, super dangerous and you would have to provide a lot of collateral. But like this naked call, like when you're selling them, that is terminology and it's legitimate terminology. It just doesn't really have much to do with naked shorting.
Another great question. Somebody says Tom is a legend.
Tom
Thank
is
you so much,
legend.
bro. I appreciate it. Truncha 68. How high do you think AMC is going to go in your point of view? Before you answer this, I'm just going to say that you have to. You guys don't need this even to go to 1,000 to make a lot of people filthy rich. All it needs to go is probably another 10x, and everybody will be Gucci from this point on. Even 500 will make a lot of people rich.
Yeah, and the higher the better. Like I'm in the boat. Like I want to ride this thing to kingdom come, obviously. But all like I mean, I've now said this publicly many times. Like, how high does it go? It changes per second. Like, because if I throw out a number right now, it would be based on the number of shorts, the potential of a gamma squeeze, and there's no way I could ever account for FOMO buying. But tomorrow, there's a different amount of shorts. There's a different potential in a gamma squeeze. It changes literally every minute. So for me to throw out a target now, like the second I say it, it's already a dated prediction. So for those of you listening of like, okay, how high could it go? How long should I ride it? You ride the trend until the shorts cover. That's like, I think the easiest metric without getting into like the absolute weeds of like the mathematical complexities of what's going on in the stock market, psychology, and the options market. You just ride it out until you think the shorts cover. That's probably the best thing. That's how I'm attacking it.
You got to have an exit strategy. I mean, at some point, this thing will be over. And you can't just say, well, it's in. Yeah. Matt, I found you next. What does this mean? Your next caller is
shout out to M. It's just like I just talk about how like Corollas are. Well, I think I've pitched Corollas as being like the first anti-tank establishment. Like I don't think you can break a Corolla. So when I was an intern, when I was a baby intern, I was driving to DC from Penn State, and right when I almost got to where I had to go for the day, like moving into my apartment, I drove it off like an embankment, like a 6 to 8 foot embankment. And it ripped off my front bumper, my back bumper. Like I hydroplaned because it started raining. And you know what happened? I just drove my Corolla right out of it. It was like perfectly fine. Like I was like, this car is a tank. So I'm just going to rock Corollas for the rest of my life.
I think that's the most sold car in history. Is it not?
Yeah, I think it is. It's huge. Corollas. I mean, they're selling millions a year. Corollas are tanks.
Yeah, I agree. Yo, Matt, hello from Bulgaria. Oh, brother.
Oh, brother. When I was a small boy in Bulgaria.
That's the quintessential hearing.
Perfect.
Vlad, he fucked it up. Hey lads, I was wondering if it would be possible for the people hedging options to collectively unhedge to try and bring the price down, or am I high? Well,
Uh,
that would be illegal to coordinate like that, would it not?
Yeah, it would be illegal for sure, but also you have to understand that this is essentially one entity. It's Citadel Securities. They're not just the world's biggest market maker, but they're the biggest market maker when like the second place market maker is like super far down the list. So most of these calls being sold, most of the puts being sold is from Citadel Securities. Like they just dominate the space. So it's kind of up to them of how they want to do it. But also this is all run by algorithms. They're hedging and they're unhedging. It's a perfect like algorithmic scenario. It's not a human deciding, oh, we need to do this and we do that. It's like just an algorithm that runs in the back end and they're buying and selling as the price moves like every single second.
I'm already being accused of FUD. Every time I say something responsible and grown up, people get annoyed.
Well, yeah, and like even with that, like it's just folks, he's just pointing out how much money will be made at those levels. He's not calling out a price level that it's going to stop at. He's not calling for a ceiling, he's not calling for a floor.
Look
He's
at
just trying
this.
to illustrate the millions that are going to be made as we go up.
Yeah, at least yeah, that I agree. 100K cannot happen. It's a joke. It's a meme. I don't think it can go. But again, hey, who knows? It's just I think it would it not be more than the entire U.S. market cap? The stock market is what, like $100 trillion? I don't know.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I mean, obviously its valuation would be high. And like for that, like whatever price level you have out, like I think this game of calling price levels, like I don't know if you're calling for $1 or a gazillion, just ride it out till the shorts cover. Like that's the perfect way to do this.
Here we go, another Matt subscriber. I'd like to know if Matt is available. My wife needs a boyfriend.
Trey's taking too long to respond.
These comments are so good. Oh my god. I sent you a DM on Instagram to Tom Nash Trader. That's not me. That's a fake account. I have a lot of fake accounts that people pretending to be me. My Twitter and Instagram are all the same. It's I am Tom Nash. This is a fake account. I've reported. IG and Twitter would do nothing about it. It's unbelievable. And
Yeah,
scammers are all, yeah.
I'm right there with you.
And
It sucks.
yeah, it's not me. Sorry. Um, Matt, I have a 20 145s for this week and 35 145 for next. On a scale from 1 to, oh, that's a tough question.
What's your confidence on the bullish week ahead? I mean, I think we're going to get a much more indication when the market actually opens because, like, every weekend it's touch and go of has the movement lost momentum or gained momentum over the weekend? How many people told their family about it? How many people told their friends about it? It's touch and go every weekend of just, I guess, the vigor of this group. So we're going to know based on like the volume and people's interest kind of within the first 15 minutes on Monday just to see what's going on. But even from there, like the stock can trend, like even think about Friday, it wasn't looking the best. And then in the last hour of the day, it just started shooting up. So stuff like that happens all the time.
We have to go to rap battle mode because I'm missing like a shit ton of super chats. It just goes so fast. I can't go back. So you have 10 seconds to answer
Okay.
each. D Lopez. No, I'm kidding. But let's speed it up because people will get pissed. I made a mistake selling 35 strike June 25th cover calls back my 100 shares. When should I roll it over to higher strike further expiration? That's a good question.
I mean, so you sold a covered call at 35. So for June 25th, I mean, if you are of the opinion that it's going to drop by then, I guess you could keep it. But right now, it looks like if you hold it till the 25th, like you're just going to end up losing your shares. But I guess like a little bit of solace in the fact that at least you kept the premium from it. But in terms of rolling, it's your confidence in what AMC will or won't do.
Crypto Jerry, love that name. I'm hodling since $2. He's one of your early ones. That's like a really OG. Woo, the 25 average, 100K, not likely. Yeah, 100K would be pretty much the most cataclysmic event of all times in the stock market. Um, Happy birthday, Matt. It's your cake and the moon. My friend Ken G. we we can't say them. Yeah, we won't say the full name. Hi guys at Matt. But how do we know the shorts have covered if Ortex and other sources are always lagging behind?
So
Good
this is a
question.
really good, very, very good question. So it's one of those things where like definitively at minimum 2 days after it because of the T2 settlement, but even on those massive days like 2 Wednesdays ago when we ran 95, 96%, with those movements, you kind of get a good idea of like, all right, if we count this much for gamma, give a little bit of like a recommendation to like what might be going on with FOMO, you get an idea. Like you're not going to know it perfectly, but I also don't think that this is like a 1 day, 5 minute thing. It shoots up and comes right back down. Like I think you have time. And for me, I think it's one of the best things to do in any trade is you kind of pyramid out as in, or in and out, as in you buy a couple times, like when you're creating your core position around support. And then on the way out, it's like, okay, you could sell a bit here, sell a bit there, sell a bit there. Like you don't have to go all in at once and all out at once. So with it, I agree. We don't know unless you work at the hedge fund, you're not going to know exactly when they're covering. There is that 2 day delay, and that's just like the world we live in right now because we don't have T0 or T evening settlement, which I think we should have, but
That's
we
the
don't.
big scam, though. That's the big scam. There's no reason that we shouldn't have real time short interest. There's no
Yeah,
reason whatsoever.
it
No reason.
absolutely blows my mind. And like
There's
clearly the technology is advanced enough now to pull it off. Like I don't think they could flip a switch and do it, but if they wanted to, we have the technology to do it.
Yeah. It's the same question we just answered for the video. Please explain when the shorts cover. Yeah, we just literally he just answered that a second ago. Basically, the too long didn't read there's a lot of intuition there, obviously, like everything. Thank you, VGamer80 for the $5 donation. Appreciate it. Ed is asking, thanks, Matt, for all you're doing. And new investor, as a new investor, it's critical to squeeze. How do we support more interviews with influencers, podcasts, Joe Rogan, Logan Paul? I think just social media, right? Just tagging
Yeah.
and
I
yeah.
mean, that was actually the most like it was a little miniature round of hate I just got because I publicly reached out to Logan Paul and people got mad and I don't get why. Like now some of the people in the community are turning into the elitists of like, no, they can't buy AMC. It's like, why does it matter? He has a following. Like if people in his following never knew about AMC, they resonate with the movement and now they buy AMC. That's a win for us. Like I don't know why people are starting to pick and choose who's allowed to buy AMC.
Would it not serve a purpose if he puts out a podcast about this and a shit ton of these kids would join the movement?
I thought so, but I think so Joe Rogan, everyone would love that, but like we were discussing earlier, that's beyond
Yeah.
big leagues. He's like
That's
a
the
league
holy
of his
grail.
own. Yeah. But in terms of Logan Paul, I think people were mad about who he is as a human of what he did years ago when he was a bit younger. So I get it. Like I get the rawness of that emotional situation, but it's one of those things that he also has an incredible platform. And like the goal of this is getting the message to the most people possible. So I think it's almost like sometimes when people get on their high horse of who we should and shouldn't talk to, you might be like kind of, I don't know, shooting the movement in the foot with like that type of an elitist view.
There's no need for this. I mean, there's nobody's. I mean, nobody should be excluded. I mean, ideally, you would want people with the biggest audience to be a part of this. I think I agree with you.
I mean, the guy just made 20 million. Imagine if he's like, you know what? I'm taking 5 and putting it into AMC right now. That would get people so jacked up.
Yeah, and the price would go crazy also.
Yeah.
So again, I apologize if I missed super chats. It's just going so freaking fast. So I apologize in advance. So I have a lot of options that expire this week in the money. Should I exercise them into shares? Just asking for opinion, not financial advice. It's a good technical question, though, right? What happens when you're in the money?
Yeah. So with that, it's more personal. Do you want the shares or do you want to take the profit from the premium and then maybe buy some shares, buy more options, or do you just want to roll it into a whole nother option? So it's up to you. It's like, I guess, are you happy with the amount of shares you have? Because if not, well, also the biggest thing is you have to have the capital in your account to do all of that exercising. That's like a prerequisite. If you don't have the capital in the account, your only option is to sell, and then you could buy some shares, roll like so. It's very account and person specific.
I think you've answered this question, very similar question, just a few minutes ago. Essentially, I guess the answer would have been it's a personal choice.
Yeah, what would be your game plan for this week? So for this week, if you're looking at the 145s, yeah, you're hoping that we get on more national media attention, get on podcasts like Logan Paul, because you want a giant movement this week. So like you want the action, not only big action, but you want the action to happen like now, like very, very soon.
I mean, for the stock to go 3x, something cataclysmic needs to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, next week. Hey, Matt, all of my option contracts in the money and June 18th. That's the famous date. Not enough capital to roll, even though I want to. What are my best options moving forward? Of course, you're saying opinions, not financial advice.
So the enough capital, I think there's a little bit of a terminology confusion. Enough capital would be relating to actually exercising it, turning all of your options into shares. You definitely have capital to roll. Rolling is just the process of selling your current position, using whatever that money is, whether profit or loss, and rolling it into a further expiration date. So you sell one, buy the other with the exact same amount of money. So the capital thing is more of that exercising. So in exercising, remember, it's 100 shares per contract, not at the value of the stock that it's trading at. It's at the strike price that you would have to, that's the money you need.
Okay, let's do a few more and we'll let you go soon because I've held you like double the time that we agreed on.
It's all good.
So we have Ben. We just answered his question. Now we have, this is the best name I've seen all day, Captain Fookboy. I think they do. And they're definitely on both sides of these, unfortunately. They do work together, and yeah, they definitely do. I mean, as much as you want to say it's illegal and you can't stop it, they're just a phone call away. They're all fucking friends, anyways. It's like saying that the antitrust authority works perfectly and there's no market. I mean, manipulation, and as far as price coordination, that's it happens all the time. Joshua Lee, how do we know if the shorts aren't covering slowly, like in covering shorts by 10K at a time? I'm sure they do. I'm right. That's the only game plan they have at this point.
I mean, they can do it, but it's one of those things that if the room's on fire, like it's a rush to the door. Like you might slowly go, but all of a sudden there's a panic. And if they find out that one hedge fund completely covered their short, the stock goes up. So then the other hedge fund quickly does it. So it's like, even for them, it's a game of psychology of like, how long are they going to hold on? Because like at the end of the day, they're still competing with each other. So they don't want to take the big loss in this situation. So if they know other people are going to cover, they're going to be the first ones to try to cover. So they take the smallest loss. So it's like, how much do they really trust their competition?
There's this guy, I forgot the channel name, that follows the activity level at the offices of Citadel. I forgot his, I need to find his name. And he was pulling up charts. Oh my god, it's like the weekend, 2 a.m. It's fucking full house.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And you can I think, yeah, that's probably what's going on. I mean, but it's so funny. It's such a stalker thing to do.
Yeah, it's definitely super interesting.
But it's so funny. Okay, more super chats. I'm trying to keep up. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Is this what you have to deal with on a daily basis?
Oh. Yeah, and like I love answering it because they're all like solid questions. But like as you can see, you fall behind. Yeah,
and then you took somebody's money, and I hate that feeling, bro.
Yeah, like, and I have missed some, and that's why like I'm like, okay, send it to a mod. They can get it to me. Like they DM it to me. So like I hate missing any because like I respect that. Like it's just money. It's like I don't want anyone to spend money, but like it can be tough to keep up with.
Shout out to the Hobbler for the $20 donation. We appreciate it. That's
Hobbler. Cool name.
Hobbler. That's a good, another cool name. They're really cool names. People are creative as fuck. We just got demonetized, I think.
It happens.
Hey, it is what it is. Okay. Ryan K says, Tom, please ask Matt if he, well, you ask Ryan.
Good ball toner. Hey, don't forget about Father's Day coming up. Use that code MoonGang on your Manscaped orders.
I was about to ask you if you want. Are you going to do merch at any point? I tried doing it and it took it off. I found it cringe. I had merch for a couple of months and then I fucking said fuck it.
We have merch. So like a lot of people were asking me for it, and I was like dragging my feet. And then the way I like I guess, personally accepted it was I just hired like a legitimate person with like merchandise, like clothing experience and a graphic designer. So even this, I think this is one of like the summer ones. So we did it, but like I have like the lowest margins possible just because I went for like, I
Let's
literally
see
just
it.
went for like the highest quality stuff. So this is
Let's see
just
it.
like a basic one. There's more like there is a website out there with like my merch on it. So like my viewers are aware of that. But it was weird because like I've never thought of myself as like someone who would ever have merch. That was weird. It blows my mind that people would want my merch. So when I did it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it as cool as I like possibly can.
And it works as a legitimate clothing item. I mean, it doesn't seem to like I wouldn't wear this outside,
Yeah,
even
so
though I do. I wear it outside when I forget, and I get these looks from people. It's like, what the fuck?
yeah, I mean, so my personal like I guess fashion sense is a bit more minimalistic. Like I like this one. I have one that just says like Moon Gang in white. Like it's just a shirt you can wear around. But then we also, where is it? We have some super, super loud ones just for all of our like Gen Z watchers, like super vibrant and colorful. And I'm like, hey, like not like I'll wear it like on like hot summer days at the beach or something, but we're trying to make everyone happy.
Yeah, and shout out to the 5,000 people. I think we broke a record. I think mine was like 4,500.
Hey, that's awesome.
Here's a question for you: uh, the Dutch tulips pattern. I mean, that's the first. That's the first one, right? The
Uh,
first bubble.
Yeah, so well what this is, and that's why like I always talk about tulips and everything, but the Dutch tulip it's just what I call a cup and handle setup. Like just that classic
Why?
cup and
What
handle.
you call it? You coined that? That's what happens. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll call this one the Dutch tulip, even though, but like if you look at any technical analysis book, what Trey's Subway cup is referring to is a cup and handle.
Okay. Good to know. I said, as you can see, I'm not a technical trader, so I completely missed that. Um, Matt, get in touch with Steve Bannon War Room. It's too political. Ba- 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 bum. That's the whole beauty of this movement, that it's completely apolitical. Hold on. More. Okay. Eddie Griffin. Hey, one of yours, right?
Mhm.
Rampage Jackson and many other celebs are jumping on board. So much hype history behind me. Thanks you guys for making Trey. And who's Runch?
Wrench, just another YouTube creator who's been
Mm,
like kind of following this.
nice. Um, Matt has a girlfriend. Thank you for letting us know, George. Such a
She's
random
totally
comment.
real. You just haven't
She's
seen her. She
totally-
goes to a different school.
She's in Canada. Mikey Nelson became a YouTube member. Thank you, Mikey. I appreciate it. I don't know if you're in the chat or not, but if you are, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Alexander Olieni, thank you for the donation. Said third super chat trying to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do apologize. You're right. Trying to ask about reverse repos and shorts borrowing liquidity from the Feds to hold their positions longer. Can you guys talk about reverse repos? I mean, I just did a video about this, but essentially, let's just make it quick since it's not a really exciting topic. Let's be honest. Let me pull up the chart for you so you can see it. Okay. Where is the chart? I'm trying to pull up the chart. Blah, 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 blah. Chart. The chart doesn't lie, and I think that's the best way to see. Okay, so reverse repos are essentially it's an overnight thing. It's a financial instrument that's designed to solve a very technical problem. Oh, I'm not sharing screen. Hold on. So okay, so this is pretty much the chart you need to be looking at. That's the overnight reverse repo chart. So basically, what this does to keep things super simple, and I'm sure there's going to be technical people in the fucking stream, like economists and pitchforks, like oh, you explaining it? No, motherfucker, I'm trying to keep it simple. So essentially, every bank has a balance sheet. Every company has a balance sheet. Every individual should have their own balance sheet. Stuff you own, stuff you owe. For a company, there can be a lot of different assets and liabilities. For example, if you're holding people that owe you money for products that you've provided but haven't got paid for, that's an asset. Cash is an asset. On the other hand, if you got services but didn't pay for, that's a liability. Just to give you kind of a simplistic explanation of what a balance sheet looks like. For individuals and companies, cash and cash equivalents is always an asset. If you look at any kind of a balance sheet, that's what you see in current assets. You see cash and cash equivalents. For a bank, because the bank is actually an institution that receives and holds that cash for clients on their behalf, they owe that money to the clients of the bank. So that's a liability. It's kind of counterintuitive. So at the end of each day, the banks have to have a certain level of liabilities versus assets, certain ratios that are regulated that way. And in order to fix a problem where the banks are just over leveraged or have too much liabilities, the Fed is essentially taking that cash, giving them T-bonds with a very low, sometimes even 0% rate, and then the beginning of the next day they just switch it back off. Here you go. Here's your money back. Give us our T-bonds back, and that way the banks don't fall into non-compliance with regulatory constraints as far as having balanced books and whatever. Um, that thing is used when the banks essentially have too much money. When banks have too much money, when they don't find good investments, when they think the market is trash and they're just sitting on a pile of cash, it's just the bank saying, well, we don't see anything worth investing into, and it's just better to hold the cash because the market is overvalued as fuck. And that also happens when there's too much money in the market. These two phenomena happen when there's high inflation. When there's high inflation, then the reverse repo market becomes very, very active. We're losing like viewers by the hundreds, bro. So the repo market becomes super, super active, super volatile. And in inflation, that's what happens. So a lot of people are using this chart because if you see this chart, the first spike you see here, that's the pandemic spike, the little one. And the latest parabolic spike that looks pretty much like the AMC share in the last 2 weeks, that's the recent one. So basically, when the market is trash, when there's high expectations of inflation, this spikes. Now, here's the thing. Looking at this, it's definitely evidence of inflationary times coming. Otherwise, this would not have gone up like this, because it went up from literally zero just a couple months ago to 500 billion. And it has a threshold, a max of like 80 billion per participant. Never mind, too technical. So, but since we're not in hyperinflation right now, at least I don't think we're in hyperinflation right now. So this basically has to have another catalyst. There's something else fueling this parabolic jump all of a sudden. And if you take a look at this is about to get interesting. So whoever stayed for this, you're going to see the actual, the interesting part. So if you take a look at this, and let's do 2021, let's do May 1st all the way to today. Okay, so check this out. So this is May 10th, doesn't matter. 175 million. You see when this thing started spiking? Right about here. It went from 200 to 351 over a course of 48 hours, and then just shot up all the way up to 547. You know what happened in mid-May, like in May 18th, 19th, 20th, is where all this shit with AMC started pretty much. So the correlation with the whole AMC movement and the spike suggested there's a certain relationship there that has to happen. Otherwise, it's just a coincidence. But in I created a theory where I basically said, well, if short sellers and institutionals are pretty much having to create higher cash collaterals not to get margin called on shitty shorts they're stuck in, they're trying to outlast the apes, then you'll see a lot more cash in these accounts. The banks are stuck with a lot more cash. So it's either hyperinflation, which we're probably all blind, or there's other catalysts. And for me, it's kind of the correlation with the dates of May 20th, May 18th, 19th, 20th, where it just goes, whoop. It's just kind of a sign that this thing is correlated deeply with the whole, I wouldn't say it's an AMC or GME issue, the whole issue in the market. We mentioned Clove, everything is going on in the market. Basically, all the short sellers are getting actively hunted down right now. And that's what's pushing it up. And that's not a good sign for them. I mean, because the thing about the repo market, the reverse repo market, first of all, it has a cap. But the other thing is, once it's being utilized more and more by inflationary issues, it's easier to use this as kind of a cover your ass mechanism when there's not a lot of inflation and it's like super small numbers. When this thing is already utilized at 500 billion, it's very hard to push through these like short selling nonsense through it and just basically say, well, here you go. It becomes kind of almost overloaded, overused. So for me, it's kind of it's almost kind of a no-brainer that this thing is headed to a very bad ending for the people who are stuck in these bad shorts. But it's again just my opinion. Might be inaccurate, might be wrong, might be completely the ramblings of a madman. Do your own research. I'm just saying. We lost like 400 viewers on this explanation. Jesus Christ! But Alexander, thank you for super chatting.
I mean, it's good to know. I mean, it really is. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Like the high level of that is your assumption is there's a lot of banks who are like, hey, we need more collateral from you. Hedge funds give those banks collateral. Those banks now have a lot of money. And because of how we're set up in the system, they are then lending the money, the cash money overnight to the Fed. They're getting the repurchase agreement themselves of some sort of notes, bonds, bills, whatever it is, for just that overnight lending from the Fed.
They're switching the category. When you hold a T-bond, it's an asset. So you're giving, it's a fake mechanism. You're giving away a liability. You're getting an asset overnight.
Yeah.
So immediately your balance sheet looks like 100 times better.
And they're coming directly from the Fed, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's the federal government basically helping the banks even out shit before they go to sleep.
Gotcha. Crazy.
I'm sure that like professionals, like economists, are going to be fucking crucifying me in the comment section. You're a piece of shit. You're an idiot. Like, you don't understand that. And they're sort of explaining like the technicalities of this. I said, no, but the fuck, that's not the point. The point is just to give like a very 5-year-old explanation to this. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Nobody will listen to the professional explanation. And plus, I don't really know that well. Captain, my wife wants me to sell my AMC. Should I divorce her?
Abe's real life. That's funny. No Sims.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Come on, Cookie.
It's okay.
This is like 12 steps on with a very heavy hedge. Double heavy. What's going on, Tony?
You have so many rituals that are kind of this almost language that you develop with your viewers. It's so fun to see. I feel left out.
There's a lot of
been on the streams
inside
a lot.
jokes. Yeah.
So even I feel left out. How about if the hedge funds cover their positions by making a deal with institutional investors such as BlackRock, who hold a considerable amount of shares? They probably do.
Wow.
That's the whole point. That's how. But the market price is the market price. I mean, if you hold, no matter how good of a friend you are, I mean, that shit is $50.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you sell it at a discount, they're still fucked if they shorted it.
And specifically someone like Vanguard or BlackRock, they're not going to play nice because they have massive long positions. They want it to go sky high. It's more money for them. I don't think they'll play nice in this scenario.
Patrick, I think he's one of your viewers saying Tom Nash, he broke Benzinga's live stream record as also. Yeah. Matt bringing the clout.
It feels so weird. Like even when I hear stuff like that, like I feel like I'm hearing it about someone else. Like it does not feel like reality to me.
But you have to let people know in the stream that I was on your streams when that wasn't a thing. I wasn't cloud chasing. When I came in, I was the celebrity, and you were like, "Oh, thank you for stopping by." You remember that shit?
No, 100%. That is exactly what happened. Like I remember, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, Tom Nash is here," and then we talked like back and forth. That's exactly how it happened.
And now you're the celeb, and I'm cloud chasing you. That's strong. Thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate it. T+2, how will we know when shorts are covered? Yeah, you answered this question, intuition. I mean, you have to read the market.
Yeah, it's that awkward in-between time between intuition and definitively knowing on the T2 settlement.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's the hack that the cheat code that they have, obviously. Yeah. The second super chat from Trey. Any ladies mugs out there want to film too? Oh no, come on. No, don't repeat it. You're gonna get us the platform, man. Come on. Yeah, I can't believe I almost read that. Okay, hold on. I don't know what he's referring to. Just guys, please let the family know what they can get the short share interest from Ortex by following them on Twitter. Yeah, Ortex is probably the fastest way. I mean, that's probably the most reliable, fastest one, right?
I would say so.
Yeah. Yeah. The other choice is 14 days, pretty much. Well, did you see the S3 analytics? They have it also. It's not bad. The S3 one is also like
those are the two that like I think are like kind of popular within the community, S3 and Ortex. I've just been with Ortex because I used them originally and I love their support. Like I talk with them very, very commonly. So That's why I like them, but I don't really have anything negative to say about S3. I do think people get a bit confused on Bloomberg, which blows my mind because Bloomberg's probably the most expensive one out of all of them. But Bloomberg's short interest only updates every 2 weeks, every month. Like Bloomberg does not have daily updates. They're just using the exchange reported information. So like at best, it's already like 8 days old or something whenever that comes out.
That's the standard, right? We always had 2 weeks before Ortex, before S3. Like there was the standard was
exactly.
Like 14. It's funny they haven't updated it. Could we actually be helping hedge funds by purchasing new shares of AMC shares? Well, some hedge funds are definitely on the long side, but I mean, mostly you're screwing with the shorts. I mean, there's no comparison. The amount of damage you're causing on the short side is massive. Their cost base of what, like, can be like $5-10, and you're pushing it up to 50-60.
Yeah, but of the argument, could it be better to hold than to buy? Well, no, because new buying is what pushes the stock up. Holding doesn't have an impact on the stock. When you sell, it pushes the stock down, but buying is the thing that gets the stock to go higher and higher.
I think it's a daily. Does it not change daily, the interest rates on shorted stock?
Do they pay more on interest as they hold the position longer? Yeah, the cost to borrow, it's dynamic per day.
Yeah, it's per day, exactly. I know a guy who lost, I don't want to say number, 7 figures shorting a public, like a company that I covered extensively on my channel. I didn't like, so people can guess which one. It's a very expensive business if you get it wrong. Okay, some people will hate me for saying this, but I don't think shorting inherently is bad. I think there's a lot of good short sellers.
I mean, I don't either. I mean, that's how you find out things like Luck and Coffee. What's it, Herbalife? Like there are some corrupt businesses that are, it's the definition of malpractice, and they don't deserve to be companies.
When I was going at Nicola, I don't know if you followed me back then, or do you even, when I had my channel, they almost took down my channel. So Nate from Hindenburg Research reached out to me and said, "Listen, I'll pay for your legal fees. Just go sue their ass."
Yeah, I mean, I was a little baby on YouTube when I was watching those, the whole Trevor Milton saga and all that. And even that, like I made, like, I don't know, I guess when you're starting, you're trying to make videos that you think like, okay, like I see everyone else doing this, I'll do it too, to try to like ride the wave. But even that, like I found weird Nicholas supporters came at me and I was like, this dude's lying. Like he's just straight up lying. Like, and now like I'll say that they tried to, I believe what, GM bought him out or bought a portion of them.
No,
and
that
like
fell apart.
Oh, it did fall apart.
I called it from the beginning. I said, this deal is going to fall apart. And people were like, you're an idiot. I said, this is going to fall apart. And then it fell apart.
Oh, but Trevor Milton's out of the picture, right?
Yes, but the extensively wealthier than before.
Oh, gotcha.
Hey, Match. Happy birthday. When Corolla T-Rex. What is this whole thing mean? Something?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it's all different inside jokes. Literally every single word in there. Besides, so obviously not the last one. Also, everyone keep Trey in your prayers. Yeah, Trey. He'll make it through. Like Trey has some like health complications that he's been public about. Like I'm not sharing any information, but you never know what someone's going through in their own lives in the background. So good to give.
I think he mentioned on the stream that he needs to go through surgery or something like this, right?
Yeah, he'll be doing some heart surgery stuff.
Hope he's gonna be okay. Why is he banging on his chest like this then? Jesus Christ.
Well, in his recent video, he said that he's like, "Oh yeah, I need to stop that." Like, I just think it's so inherently who he is to get jacked up.
I love his energy. I when I reached out to you, I told you, hey, I want his email also. I want to get him on the show as well. He's phenomenal. Yeah. I hope he's gonna be okay. Great dude. Tom, if you need some ritual help, I can always have Daddy's gas up the chopper and swoop in some ritual consulting. I charge 2 Subway sandwiches per day. No Subway cookies, only Sims lactose. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. If you bring a chopper over to Russia, I mean, you're not gonna see it ever again. It's gonna be chopped up. Best chance apes have is ego play by hedge funds. To them, the idea of losing to retail is disgusting. Retail is a diamond because nothing to lose. You agree with this? Do you think it's an emotional game? I think it's a numbers game.
I've thought a lot about it because, like, even I think there has to be some sort of like ego, pride, hubris, because at a certain point, when it broke out of 1450, when it broke above 20, like why wouldn't they have covered then? Like the fact that they're still like in this, and like even the articles that they're writing, like I believe Citadel owns a portion of Market Watch, and that they're always negative connotation. Like I think they do at this point want to prove us wrong. And I think they also just think that they're right and it's going to come crumbling down. So I think it's like a twofer thing. I believe that they think they're this right. And it's like an icing on the cake that they could just show dumb money how dumb we are. Like, I think for them, that's what they're going for.
There's definitely a lot of speculators in this community who are kind of riding the wave. But as time goes by, I feel like more of them getting converted into. It's almost like they're getting recruited into the ritual of it. It seems like the rattling the cage is becoming harder. I mean, every week that we've had with all the negative weeks, they seem to get mellowed more and more. You notice this as well, where it doesn't go as extreme down as it used to. That's interesting. Yeah, this is gonna be a fascinating week. There's another super chat. It's Matt's birthday today. Is it? Is it?
No, they just on stream on Friday, someone said happy birthday, and I was like, it's not my birthday. And now everyone's like, it's his birthday. It's his birthday. I'm like, I'm not hiding my birthday.
What is this? It's like a whole language.
Come on, Cookie. Pump these days so they will get it. Thanks.
This is developed into a ritual. It's like insanely powerful to me to see this. I mean, there's a whole community of people who speak a language I can't speak. and dude, I've been on the streams a lot. I mean, it means that these are people who are there for like hours and hours and hours and hours.
Lots of inside jokes within the community. I love it.
Another one?
A money rake Home Depot is sold out. Like, yeah, one day someone asked me what I thought my biggest concern about this was, and I was like, my issue is like I'm worried that Home Depot and Lowe's will sell out of all the rakes, and I don't know how to like clean up all my money. Like, we need money rakes.
Hey, listen, dudes, please don't super chat anymore. I won't let Matt go. I had him on for half an hour. That was the original booking. We already 3x that. Don't super chat anymore. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll buy AMC shares with all the super chats. I have to tally it up.
There we go. I love that.
No, I think it's fair. I think it's so. I need to tally up the super chats, but whatever been donated in this stream, everything I'll put it in AMC. No problem.
There we go. Ape Nation.
Don't donate anymore because of that. Please, we have to sign off. I don't want to mess anymore. Oh, motherfuckers! They keep putting. No, don't. I won't be able to cover all of them.
The more you push back, the more it's gonna go.
No, I'm serious. Hold on. Shit, my eye just closed. I teared up. Could the reverse repo trigger making a call from the Fed? What do you mean trigger making a call from the?
I think a margin call. I think is what I think it's a typo. Like an auto. Could the reverse repo trigger a margin call from the Fed?
The Fed doesn't margin call. I think anybody. It's yeah. No, I don't think so. Okay, so I shouldn't have said this about the super chats. We're gonna have to leave them open like this. This is just becoming. It's like it's like that in your streams. They behave like that. It's
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The one thing about this group, whatever you want them to do, they're gonna do the opposite. If there's a joke that they can play into, they're gonna play into it. If there's a troll opportunity.
This is like the ultimate troll, but I'll tally it up and we'll put it on social media, the total amount. When the squeeze happens, what do you think the chances are that it will trigger another squeeze for naked brands? I'm not familiar with this at all.
NAKD. I don't feel the most confident about that. Like I've been following AMC and Jimmy. I think NAKD, I wouldn't even put that as a second tier one. I would put that a little bit lower. So that did run in late January, but that like it was a high short interest because like the company was doing really, really poorly, and people were just betting against it because it was like a failing business. NAKD is not my favorite.
This is something Wes spoke about in the Super Stunk interview.
Turn off your loaning on different.
So they can't lend your shares, basically.
Yeah, so it would just be tough with that one, like, because I can make it for Webull, but it's just like how many different accounts are out there. Like, I don't think there's like a unified, clear brokerage we all use. But overall, if you're just listening and you're on a margin account, you should find somewhere in your account settings the share lending and just disable it.
Oh shit. Yeah, this is a troll play. I can't keep up with all of these. I'm sorry. There's too much super chats and they're all like trolling. So hold on a second. I'm trying to keep up. Okay, so we go to rapid fire. We do 10 seconds a pop. I want those high frequency trading algorithm to be deemed lawful by SEC before they can use it again. They spent 100 million to develop it. Okay. Yeah. Don't tell us what to do. Make my allowances to scale. What about buying low puts with long-term expiring? Wait till the squeeze is over, and then the stock price goes back to fundamental value. You never know when this is going to happen, right, man? I mean, they can take months.
So, like, if you have a idea of when it's going to happen, you can play it that way. But if you get the timing wrong, you'll get blown out of the position.
Thank you, Luminaire. Such an unrelated comment. Super chat squeeze time. No, don't do it. I have to go to sleep. I'm gonna have so much trouble falling asleep after all this. I'm not used to this action. Usually we have very relaxed streams. To contribute to MC share purchase, yes. Every dollar goes to. I shouldn't have said it. I should have just done it. Okay. Hey Matt, can I get? Okay, that's for you.
Oh brother.
Thank you, Santi, and super chat squeeze. Thank you, Isaiah Lopez. Broke Luminator. Don't super chat anymore, Luminator. The Luminator is in every stream I have. It's one of my regulars.
I'm broke.
Everyone super chat. No, don't. Hold on. How do I shut it off? First, no, wait. This is getting out of hand. First time paying money. How this works? I'm in. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it. Tom sleep puts. Okay. How do I shut? Can I shut off super chats so we can say goodbye?
I'm sure somewhere.
Yeah, there's somewhere. Hold on.
We just might have to cut the riff cord because I don't think they'll stop.
Yeah. They won't stop.
What are your thoughts on pirates?
Listen. Okay. It's enough. Okay, so we're not gonna read any more super chats. Okay, last one, just for laughs. Super chat gamma squeeze.
Supposed to have potential. Jeez, it's a Fast and Furious. Live my life quarter mile at a time.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, more super chats coming in. Thank you so much. Okay, so Matt, thank you so much for stopping by. I apologize for all the super chats we missed. I literally had 15 more questions ready, but we couldn't get to them because people just want to ask you really good questions. I mean, for the most part, the questions were really smart and people asking a lot of important information. That's why I think probably going to clip this video and put it up on my second channel with all the little topics. Sweet. For example, like the strategies and everything you gave them here, which was really good because awesome. I know nothing about it. Thank you so much. Shout out to David Knight for the super chat. Shout out to Christopher Jones and Trey Subway Cup again. We cannot accept any more super chats. I'm sorry. Thank you all so much. Matt, thank you so much. We're going off the air. Don't super chat anymore. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Shout out to all the apes.